this is a report that came out of Reuters recently. I came across it on one of my favorite shows, Breaking Points. They kind of covered this yesterday or the day before.
Hmm.
So there is a leaked memo coming out that the Trump administration is planning what they refer to as an Iraq-style invasion and occupation of the Gaza Strip. So this is according to at least five different people in the administration who
Yep.
spoke on the basis of anonymity. The occupation would have no timetable, but the U.S. government would be sending the military over there to essentially forcibly displace all of the Gazans in the Strip, all
Hmm.
2 million of them, relocating them out of the Strip, occupying the territory, and essentially having the U.S. be in control of it with no official timetable. They didn't say how long they were going to be there for, but I think the one thing that has given me so much pause about all of this
Yeah.
is, beyond all the different horrific things that we've seen happening in Gaza recently, is the fact that Donald Trump has time and time and time again talked about like how terrible all of these things that were happening in the Middle East were over the last few years. He
Yeah.
ran on being the anti-war president, being the pro-peace candidate. He is talking about something that is blatantly illegal. That's something
Hmm.
that every other country in the region said specifically that if he did this, they would end relationships with the United States
Hmm.
and they would not
Hmm.
sign any kind of like peace deals with Israel, which he's been
Hmm.
trying to vehemently get done, especially with Saudi Arabia, for
Yeah.
instance. And he is essentially talking about doing something that is, by every metric, illegal under international law.
Yeah.
Forced displacement is illegal under international law. And what I was happy to see was the fact that somebody who has been on the right side of multiple issues recently, Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland,
Hmm.
he put out a video just in the last few days talking about this specifically, where I want to get his words here. He
Hmm.
called Benjamin Netanyahu an extremist and said that Trump is basically doing this at the behest of him. He said that Israel's government, Benjamin Netanyahu's government, is collectively punishing the people of Gaza, not allowing food or water or
Right.
medical supplies to get into the Strip right now, saying that it is illegal what they are doing, that they are violating international law, and what they're planned to do to send people out is in fact ethnic cleansing. I thought it was important that a sitting U.S. senator said
Yes.
these words, because a lot of people have been saying these things in these spaces. They've been, talking about these things, but when a sitting U.S. senator comes out and says it, I think it gives everything about this a lot more power. And it's a good thing that I'm hearing more members of Congress saying these words now, because to be fair, this has been happening the whole time, but I think
Hmm.
it's good for me to see that more people are saying what is happening right now, Natalie.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. That when you started talking about what was going on, the first thing I thought of was like, oh, wait, didn't Trump run on this idea of we're not going to have any more wars and that he was going to broker this peace deal and be able to do what Biden couldn't do and all this nonsense? But obviously, Trump's a liar. He's always been a liar. He's
Right.
never been told the truth about any of this stuff. And the reality is the billionaire class always makes money during wartime, period. I mean, who do you
Yeah.
think is creating the weapons that we're selling? Who has the contracts with the government? Who gets to broker these deals? It's the one of the 1%. So peacetime is great for the people. It's not good for business in a lot of ways. And Trump has shown again and again that he does not care about us, the people. He only cares about lining the pockets of himself and others. And I knew that we were heading in this direction when he started talking about turning parts of Gaza into almost this resort. Well, you can't
Right.
do that if there are still those pesky people, many of them children, they're occupying this land. And I will say this again, too. I firmly believe that Trump is a Russian asset and has been. And I truly believe that not only is Netanyahu pulling strings, but I think Putin is too. And we would be remiss to sort of leave him out of this larger narrative and equation. We also have some comments here. American Citizen says, let's get them out. Talking about this administration class action lawsuit against Waltz, Vance, Pete Hegseth for all of the military personnel that they've put at risk due to their incompetence and violation of the Espionage Act. Spouses do not sign contracts. People are really up in arms, not only about how just this administration acts with one issue as it pertains to war and surveillance, but how they're acting accordingly. It also says the media is not mentioning that Vance owns stocks that they're making a mint from this. And this is exactly the other thing we were just talking about,
Yeah.
is that these guys make money off of this. This is why
Right.
Congress should not be allowed to own or trade stock while they're in office.
Right.
And once again, it's almost like we have the fox, watching the hen house, so to speak. We're expecting the people that we put in here to somehow live in an ethical space that they themselves have shown over and over again that they do not exist in. So while this upsets me on every level, it in no way surprises me that the Trump administration wants to do this. And I think, at what point does our military stand up against him? And I think that's why Hegseth's trying to get rid of 4-star generals. He doesn't want anybody in there that's going to potentially push back on any of these insane things that they want to do.
And to be clear, they're already doing insane things. I mean,
Yes,
this is,
correct.
this would be maybe the most brazen, the most illegal, the most catastrophic thing that they've done so
Yep,
far. But they've also already struck Somalia. They've also already struck the Houthis in Yemen. They're
that's right.
talking about bombing Iran, possibly starting a regional war over there. Talking about stealing land from Canada, talking about stealing land from Panama, talking about stealing Greenland from Denmark. Trump has tripled down on that.
Yeah.
So we are talking about, as far as I'm concerned, that's all warmongering talk. Especially when you talk about taking Greenland from Denmark. That's a NATO ally. You're just going to take their territory from them
Right.
forcibly. I mean, like, this is the words of a warmonger. He is purposely trying to put U.S. soldiers and other people in all these other regions in harm's way on behalf of his ego.
So couldn't agree with you more. And this person, we have a ton of comments, by the way. So I'm trying to get to just a few of them as we're going along here. Concerned Citizen says, is it ethnic cleansing to move civilians to an evacuation zone, or is it only if they're forced outside their country's borders asking for clarity? I mean, in my opinion, does it
When you take an
really
entire
matter?
population, right?
Yeah.
When you take an entire population who is of a certain ethnic group and you forcibly take them out of one area and force them to go into another, yes, the word force here is, the
That's the
operative
key.
word here. Then
Yeah.
yes, you are taking an entire ethnic group and you are forcing them out. That is an ethnic cleansing. Yes.
Yes. 100%. Oh my goodness, the level of comments. I mean, I feel like we must have hit a nerve with this topic, because I think the reality is the people of this country, this is the overall sentiment, they do not support this. This is not what
No.
we signed up for. And I want to ask, I don't know if we have anybody that voted for Trump listening. And if you did happen to vote for him, are you satisfied with this trajectory that his administration is taking? Because I have talked to some Trump supporters who have said no, they are angry and they actually wish they had not voted for him. And so I do think there is this sense of buyer's remorse. And of course, we can get into the nuances of how did you not know? I mean, he's been doing this for how many years now? But the reality is, I do think the further that they continue to push these extreme agenda points, the more
Yeah.
collective support they are losing.
Yeah. And, they have been, Natalie, this
Yeah.
whole story crushes me.
I know,
Because
I know, I
have
know,
I've
I
been
know.
talking about Gaza
Yes,
on
you
my
have.
platform for quite a while now. I
Yes.
wasn't actually that informed about this situation until, like a lot of people were, in October of 2023. I spent some time
Yes.
trying to figure out more about it. I mean, that is an open air prison right now, and it has been for a long time.
I
The
know.
Israeli military has blocked off this area. They don't let people come in besides their own military. They don't let people leave. They have
That's right.
access to their electricity. They have access to their water. They have access to their food. They have access to their medical supplies. They've blown up every single hospital. They destroyed
Yeah.
every single school. They destroyed the very last restaurant in the area just last week.
Mhm.
There aren't any standing buildings in Gaza. This is
No.
an area that has,
No.
it's 25 miles long, but the same size as Manhattan. There's
Mhm.
2 million people there. Half of them are children. The
Yeah.
median age is 19 years old. And they have been killing over 90% civilians. So yes, it's very hard for me to have this
I know.
conversation in a way that feels tampered down, honestly.
Well, it shouldn't be tampered down. Why
Yeah.
should it be tampered down? I mean, your outrage is completely valid. And to me, if you're not outraged, then you're not paying attention to what is going on. I remember reading an account where the one doctor, I've been following a lot of the doctors that were over there and just listening to what they were saying. And the one said, you know, the level of trauma that these physicians are going to have from this experience too, just working with these children. And one of them saying, you know, she lost several limbs and asked the doctor, when are they going to grow back? I mean, we're talking about children who don't understand how any of this works because they're fucking children. And so the idea that they've not allowed aid in there, that they've blown up hospitals and schools, all these things that they said they weren't going to do, it's just,
Right.
it's another level of terror that I can't even begin to understand. My brain doesn't comprehend it. And I think for a lot of us, the only way people have been able to deal with this is to disassociate themselves from it. And that's why it's more important than ever that we do have these conversations and ground
Right.
it back into the here and now, that it's not something that's just happening over there, but it's something that's impacting people, which means it's impacting our collective sense of humanity. And that in and of itself, it's worth speaking on completely,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
And so when we're talking about people around the globe, right? And
Yeah.
we're discussing what's happening to children in these spaces and just how we've allowed it to get to this place. We've talked about this theme a lot, which is you allow it to to happen over there because we're allowing things that are terrible to happen right here, and we're becoming desensitized.
Right.
Wait